potent offense and is the best three-point shooting team per volume and percentage so far in the NBA on this young season. This is going to be a big test for the Chicago Bulls, but we're going to talk about it, break it all down, have some fun right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. Listen, we've been dropping a lot of content lately. I just realized how much content we've dropped over the last 3 days or something like that. It's been a lot of goddamn content. So with that being said, make sure you guys hit the damn subscribe button for us as we are trying to push forward to 20K subscribers. That's the goal by the end of the season. My phone dropped. That's the goal by the end of the season. So we'll see if we can get to that. But now let's focus on these Bulls, man. This is going to be a long night for the Chicago Bulls. It's going to be a long night for a couple of different reasons. The Indiana Pacers are not only the type of young, scrappy team that has always given the Chicago Bulls fits, but outside of all of that, right now, so far on the season, it's a young part of the season, but the Indiana Pacers' strengths all play into the Chicago Bulls' weaknesses. And that is what is kind of most terrifying about the situation right now for the Chicago Bulls. The Indiana Pacers are averaging shooting 50% from the field as a team. They're averaging 134 points per game so far. Now, again, it's only been 2 games. It is what it is there. But also, they have the highest three-point shooting percentage in the league. They are hitting 43.2% of their threes. They're taking 43s a game, right? So not only do they have the highest percentage, they also have the third highest attempts, and they have the most three-point makes of any team per game in the NBA so far this season. They also move the ball around. They're averaging 37 assists per game. They are leading the league in assists as per team, right? It'd be nice to have a team that can move the ball around like the Indiana Pacers. Matter of fact, here's what I'll say. The Indiana Pacers offense is what Billy Donovan talks about when he talks about how he wants the Chicago Bulls offense to look. They lead the league in assists. They lead the league in three-point makes per game. They lead the league in three-point shooting percentage, and they're top 5 in the league in three-point attempts per game. And they shoot efficiently overall from the field, being over 50% from the field. This offense of the Indiana Pacers, if this maintains even 80% of what it's been through 2 games, we are looking at one of the most efficient offenses in NBA history. Their assist to turnover ratio, they are averaging, as we said, 37 assists per game. They are only giving up 9 turnovers per game is what they have the lowest turnover rate in the NBA. What does that mean? This is a elite offense so far this year, albeit through 2 games. This is an elite offensive team. They execute, they perform, they spread the ball around. All those things play into a night where it's going to be a long night for the Chicago Bulls. And then also when you look at the scoring breakdown, Tyrese Halliburton leading the way with 20 points per game. But then after that, they have 4 players averaging at least 15 points per game, if not more. Naismith, 16. Turner, 15.5. Ben Mathurin, 15.5. Bruce Brown, 15. And then throw in Jalen Johnson and Buddy Hield averaging double-digit points per game off the bench too. It's going to be a long, difficult night for the Chicago Bulls against the Indiana Pacers. This is a team that a lot of people looked at the Pacers and said, this is the team that could make their move in the Eastern Conference this season, and that's holding true. And that is why the Bulls have to be on their P's and Q's this whole entire game, because if you allow this Indiana Pacers team to get hot from 3, the game's going to be over with before it starts. So that is what it's so serious for this team, and looking at what they have to do and what they have to accomplish on the defensive side of the ball. Notice, I even talked about what the Bulls offense needs to do, because I'm so concerned with this defense. This defense, while it's shown quarters of greatness, has not been consistent. And the Bulls always give up tons of threes. And this is the type of game where you're going to look up and Ben Mathurin's probably going to have 19 points before the first half. It's going to be a long night for the Chicago Bulls, and they have to be prepared defensively. This is one of the games where your coach has to come up with a game plan, because I tell you what, the Indiana Pacers offense is going to give the Bulls so much fit on the defensive side of the ball. And let's keep in mind, the Pacers haven't been a slouch defensively at all this season either. Have they been amazing defensively? No, I won't say that they've been amazing defensively at all, but they are shaping up to have a top 15 defense in the league if things continue for them. Now they are giving up 116 points per game, so that's something that you want to look out for. The opportunities to score are going to be there if the Bulls can take advantage of it. But also, they are allowing around 15th in the league in pointed field goal percentage. They're playing effectively on both sides of the ball. This is going to be a long night for the Chicago Bulls, fam. A very long night for the Bulls. But let's go ahead and get into the comments and see how you guys are feeling. Kobe3 says, PG Carter, PF Craig. Really have to put all the veterans on the starting lineup. No, I don't think that's really going to help much. Javon Carter, listen, I still like Javon Carter, but he has not been what it shaped up to be. We need a change up in the lineup, start Craig. I mean, a lot of people are calling for that. So Javon Carter has been struggling. Kobe White has been one of the bright spots. Yeah, he hasn't been making the shots, but he's been doing everything else really good. Javon Carter isn't a true point guard either. Listen, yes, they've both been struggling in their own way. Shooting, everybody on this team has been struggling shooting so far. And, we have seen what we saw, 8 assist game from Kobe White, I think, in the second game. But, it is what it is. At this point, you need to spread the ball around as a team, right? That's going to be important. Haize, what do you think about Zach running point guard sometimes? Maybe let Kobe get some catch and shoots. We have to remember we don't really have a real point guard other than Carter. Really not creative enough. Listen, no, you don't. Zach LaVine has been terrible historically when he runs a point guard. But that's why we've talked about operating from the inside out, right? You can have Kobe and Zach come off screens, but Vooch got to kind of be your pinpoint person at that point in time, and we haven't really seen that. Torrey Craig needs to start, I agree, but White needs to remain the starting point guard. Here's he also says this: Carter isn't a real point guard either. Kobe is better point than Carter, if you want to be honest. I disagree with that. In the sense that I think as far as like true point guardsmanship, half court running offense, they both have the same positives and negatives. So, but the point guard position has evolved. They're both point guards. They just are very different types of point guards. Good morning from Australia, good sir. Reckon to start my day off as usual with a energetic, strong, brilliant, fun, exciting, down to the wire 14-point loss. Listen, a 14-point loss may be light for the Chicago Bulls today. Maybe light. Tracy says, hi, what's going on, Tracy? Glad to have you in the building. Rondo 2 Raw says, what's the over-under on Ben Mathurin points? Like 40. I'm taking the over, not going to lie. Listen, either him or Halliburton's going to go off. Hell, they both may go off. Inside out on offense. Absolutely, Shay. Agree with you there. Haize is trying to get to 20K subs so we can get crazy at the United Center next season. By the way, for those, I know you guys will see if you care, but once we hit 20,000 subscribers, we're getting BKR Sport over to Chicago. We're going to go to a Chicago Bulls game together. I'm going to take them to get a pint. You know what? BKR, I bet you never had a Chicago handshake. I'm going to make you drink that fucking terrible ass. I'm gonna make you drink a Chicago handshake. There you go. That's definitely what we're gonna do. Let's see. Muhammad Johnson says, oh, that's not Muhammad. Method Man Maned. Shout out to you. Heartbreak again tonight. It's not heartbreak when you expect it, fam. So, I expect the Bulls to get their asses kicked tonight. We better get that dub tonight. Hey, listen, it's going to be tough, bro. It's definitely going to be tough. Daniel says, yo, what's going on, Daniel? Glad to have you in the building as always, brother. Tracy Edit says, do you think we can pull out the win? The Indiana Pacers are a good young team, but Indiana's strengths are our weaknesses, like you said. Listen, it's the NBA. Anything is possible on any given day, right? Any team can beat any team on any given night. But I tell you what, for the Bulls to beat the Indiana Pacers tonight, they're going to either have to execute on both sides of the ball, damn near flawless, or they're going to have to hope that the Indiana Pacers have a cold shooting night. So it's going to have to get either one of those, man. Damn, we getting blown out. Blowing out? Like that's something different, my guy. Torrey Craig to start. Is that true? I haven't seen that yet. I mean, I think we all kind of expect that, right? I think most people expect at this point Torrey Craig to probably take that starting position from Patrick Williams. Let's see. Any sources on that one yet? Let's check KC. Don't see anything yet. But we'll see. They usually announce the starting lineup about 30 minutes before game time. We're about 20 minutes away from that, so we'll see what that's going to be. Shano Max says, "Damn, we getting blowing out, blowing out like that's." Listen, that's a different contest, my guy. That's a different context, my fam. Long time since making it to a pregame show. What's up, y'all? What's going on, Tim Brazil? Glad to have you in the building. One of the OG members of the chat. I don't think the Bulls have any P's or Q's to get on top of. I mean, listen, they got to get something, bro. Hey, they got to get something. The one thing they can't stay getting on top of is L's, bro. Phil Jackson on Zoom call is better than Billy Gums on the floor. That's funny. That's hilarious. Shout out to Eads Instruments in the building. That's because we don't have no defenders. No, that's not true. We were the top 5 defense in the league. We actually have a lot of defenders on this team. So no, that's wrong. They just aren't executing. Got to be physical on defense and communicate with each other. Absolutely, bro. I've only been talking about that for about 3 years now. This podcast only has been around for 2.5, but I've been talking about that for God knows how long at this point, man. Slow start shit got to stop from Auntie Goon. What's going on, Auntie? All we got is defenders. The fuck you talking about? See, yeah. Little bro, we have something to hold on to. That's it. 79 games left, so let's hope we can fix shit by Christmas, turn this shit around. Listen, I'm not saying again, you guys know I'm very realistic. That we've seen teams start off struggling the first 2.5 months of the season and turn it around. The thing that makes me hesitant to believe that this Bulls team is going to turn it around is just how stagnant they look in every facet of the game. And I don't have trust in our coaching staff. Now, is it possible? Yeah, you got 79 games. There's more than enough time to turn it around. But as we go forth in the season, if we keep struggling in this way, AK got to change something, whether it's the coach, the staff, the players, or a combination of all thereof. Something got to change at some point. Watt Slice in the building says, "Peace, Haize. Let Io start tonight." Listen, no, the Io experiment at point guard is over, and honestly, I think Io is thriving not being the point guard, right? I think if you play Io a little bit more minutes, I think that Io is really thriving in the role that he's playing in now. Now that we all know they will lose, watch the Bulls come out and play well just for this game. Listen, that would be the most Chicago Bulls type bullshit to do, fam. By the way, I gotta send you a message back so we can go ahead and schedule your appearance on the members only channel. By the way, for those that are members of the channel, we dropped our first members only video of the season yesterday with Big Kev. One of the things I'm trying to do with the members only videos, because you guys know I drop daily content every single day, Monday through Sunday, I drop content. But because of my schedule, I usually record at about 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. I don't usually have a lot of guests on. Not to say that I won't have guests on over the course of the season, but one of the ways that I'm trying to get more guests involved in the show is through the members only videos. I'm not even taxing a lot for it, but that's just, I can pre-record those. We can drop them. So if you guys want to see me collab with some of the best Chicago Bulls content creators around, that's probably where a lot of that's going to be. Not all of it. I'm not hiding anything behind a paywall because I hate motherfuckers when they do that shit. So you'll still get it. I'm trying to have Jamal on soon. We'll have Tony Gill. He just had a baby, but once he's back full go, I have him on as well. We'll get Stacey on as well. Stacey King on at some point this season. This is all for regular episodes, but for more of the homegrown creative content creators, you're gonna catch a lot of those guys over in the members only tab. So there you guys go with that one. Vincent Harris says it can be a long night if they do not show up to play, but if they do, it should be a good game. Listen, even if they show up to play, every bit of the Bulls' weaknesses over the last 3 years, the Indiana Pacers are strong in that. So we'll see, man. We can't play slow tonight and think the only way to win is ugly and playing good defense, also probably playing scrappy. Yeah, I mean, listen, that's when the Bulls have always been their best, when they step up defensively first, right? We already got bad defenders in Zach DeMar and Vooch, so why did we start Kobe with this horrible defense? Michael, have you seen Kobe instead of listening to narratives, have you actually watched Kobe White play the last 2 years? Kobe has turned himself into a solid defender. Not a shutdown defender, but he's a plus defender, and he's been that literally for about 2.5 years. That 9-game winning streak that Chicago Bulls fans like to talk so much about and say that Chris Fleming, while we did win 2 of those games because of DeMar DeRozan buzzer beater, at least 4 of those games, Kobe White's defense was the determining factor, and that was 2 years ago. Last season, Kobe White was one of the most consistent guard defenders we had on this team. So yes, Kobe White is a solid enough defender. He's a solid scheme defender and a good enough team defender as well. Now, where he doesn't excel at is he doesn't always communicate on the defensive side of the ball, but he's turned himself into a damn good defender. So I need you to update your narrative on that one. Kobe White's a solid defender now. and it's been that for a while now. I'm a huge Io fan. Shout out to Tracy on that. I think we all like Io. We just understand that Io is probably more of a combo guard than a true point guard. This is going to be a long night for Chicago Bulls if they come out with a slow start. Oh boy, it's probably going to be a long night for them regardless. Regardless, it's going to be a long night for them. Hard being a diehard Bulls fan right now, bro. Not for me. That's part of being diehard. If you're a diehard fan, you're a diehard fan, right? It doesn't get any easier or harder. Now it gets a little bit easier to talk about the team, right? But it doesn't get much easier or harder to root for the team. If you're a diehard, you're a diehard in my book. What happened to those Vooch high ball screens we saw in preseason? Paint penetration is lacking, and that was a nice way to get ball handlers going downhill. Well, so once the Dwight Howard news came out, a lot of teams stopped penetration because, Dwight Howard gave penetration a bad name. So at that point in time, you've seen a lot of teams kind of try to fix their penetration things because you don't want to just awkwardly penetrate. You want to make sure that you do so with consent. And so because of that, I think the Bulls are sitting there asking the other team, is it okay if we penetrate to get to the rim? See, Dwight Howard doesn't ask. He just gets to the rim, whether you say no or not. And so I think a lot of teams right now are the fact that I kept a straight face with that for that long is wild. But yeah, that's crazy. What's up, legend? Don't know if you heard, but I went the fuck off on my latest spot. I did not. I'll probably listen to it tonight when I'm editing. Killer Queen says, set some pin downs for Zach and slip some screens. There's so many things they can do differently. Oh, for sure. I think most of us could draw up a better offense than what Billy Donovan's been getting. We need Caruso and Craig. I love the rotation when they're in at the same time. Oh, I agree with that as well. Caruso and Craig are that is a solid two-man defensive team. I never had a Chicago handshake. I'm down. Ooh, all right. Just know when you get a Chicago handshake, you will never forget it. The game hasn't even started yet, and I'm already stressed the fuck out. Hey, bro, and I don't mean to stress anybody else more, but I just got to be understanding. I got to be realistic with what some of the struggles are going to be for this team. Not expecting to win. Won't mind a narrow loss if we move the ball much more and stop the sleepy quarters. Good evening from Manchester, England. Shout out to Reese's Footy Feed. First of all, does that mean you dropping foot content? What is that? Hey, listen. Do your thing. No judgment. But no, shout out to you. Thank you for tuning in to us all the way from across the pond. We appreciate you, brother. Overall, the balls. That was rough, man. Overall, use the Bulls' athleticism to get downhill to produce advantages and good looks. Completely agree with you on that one. Or you can make him drink Malort. That's the Chicago handshake is Malort. Malort is in the Chicago handshake, and that is terrible. Terrible. Black Hawk Man says, as a fan of both basketball, hockey, and rugby league in Australia, this is crazy to see Chicago Bulls, Central, and BKR Sport knowing each other. Oh, yeah, we're going on, literally, I think since I started the channel, me and BKR Sport have known each other for a while. So, yeah, you'll definitely, like I said, once we get to 20K subscribers, we are bringing BKR Sport over, and we're gonna kick it on a weekend game in the Shy. We got to do it, man. I barely turn off a Bulls game even if we're losing, but after this start of the season, I'm gonna prioritize my sleep if we're down by 20 after the first quarter. Hey, listen, prioritize your peace, my guy. That's it, man. The reason why I want Javon Carter to start is because against the elite point guards, he can at least give them trouble on the defensive end, and White can be his natural self off the bench. I mean, listen, I was beating that drum all this offseason, right? So we'll see, right, if that's the case. But listen, Kobe White, I would love to see Kobe White thrive in the starting point guard role. So shout out to MC Season says, Haize, hope you had a good day. I'm all right. I'm doing mostly okay. It hurts when a few years ago seeing the Pacers on the schedule was a good thing. Now I dread it. Listen, that team is shout out to them, man. That they put together a hell of a team. I think a loss to the Pistons was better to win this game, though, because every time the Bulls he'll lose it looks like they're fired up the next game. I mean, let's see. Let's hope that's the case, right? Let's hope that's the case. Mojo says Patrick Williams' defense has been horrible. Yeah, and that's the concerning part, right? Is that he's taken a step back in what his strengths were. And that's crazy. That's wild. Patrick Williams, me and Pat talked about it. I think on the season, he's averaging a 129.3 defensive rating, which is terrible. The reason why I want Javon in the starting lineup is because we don't have a defensive anchor in our starting five. I can understand where you're coming from in that one. If DeMar goes to another team, do you think they will move Zach and Vooch too, or are they keeping Zach? I don't think they move off of Zach unless they get a hell of an offer. And by that, I mean like multiple first. That's what we've heard, right? If the Bulls' asking price for Zach remains multiple first, a young star, and a veteran piece for contract to match contract. So listen, we'll see if a team's willing to give that up. I think if they get a great offer for that and the pick ends up being in like the top 5, this draft is a little bit weak, right? But I mean, I'm not putting anything out the realm of possibility. I just think it's not extremely likely right now, if that makes sense. Says Stacey King on, yeah. I mean, Stacey King's been on the show a couple times already. I know Stacey. Like, I actually text Stacey. Like, me and Stacey King actually talk, not even podcast. Like, it's so crazy to be able to say that, right? Like, I started the show off and I used to always be like, I don't have sources, I don't have any of this. This is just pure Bulls fandom. And now, like, Stacey King, I talk to regularly. Me and Tony Gill, not super regularly, but if I needed to call Tony Gill for something, I could reach out to Tony Gill. Casey Johnson knows who I am, which is fucking crazy to me. That's bananas to be able to say that. So yeah, me and Stacey talk. We probably text each other during the season. I would say I probably talk to Stacey at least once a week, probably twice a week, probably towards the middle part of the season, which is crazy to say. That's crazy. That just came out my mouth. That's wild. That's crazy. 50 points with no assists. This is definitely against the game plan. Well, no, I mean, when your other, like, Zach LaVine set other players up pretty nicely. They couldn't hit shots. Zach LaVine probably would have easily had about 4 to 5 assists if his teammates were hitting shots last time. Also, your ad lib comedy is some of the funniest and genuine out there. Listen, because I'm me. Like, for anybody that's met me in person, they'll tell you, like, I am the same person on this live stream as I'm going to be in person, and that is the jokes. Me and Pat, the designer, almost had to jump Jimmy Butler, and that was real. So like it's just like I am who I am, fam. I am who I am. That's it. So humble servant says, much love to you, bro. Just join the members only. Lower up the work, young man. Hey, I appreciate that. Listen, it is what it is, man. It's just, hey, listen, it is what it is, man. Be Real says you should collab with Bull Central on a game this season. He doesn't really live stream much. Me and Jamal, I think we've done 2 episodes together. Maybe it was 1, and we tried to schedule one, and the schedule didn't match up. I think we've done 2 episodes together, and then we were over on NBC Bulls Talk together as well. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But me and Jamal, Jamal just doesn't live stream. He's a guy that likes to really think out his thoughts, and then he'll record. So you probably won't get him on a game. You'll probably definitely get him on like a post game show, or the day after, right? Takeaways episodes, things like that. But I don't think Jamal like really likes to live stream. I think he likes to be in that controlled environment just in case something goes left or something like that. So. But yeah, let's see what else we got. Yo, C Red, I need a big game from the mid 3 today. Shit got to start clicking, bro. I'm tired of being tired. That's funny. That's hilarious, bro. Pat finna get the most scored on player of the season if he keeps going. Going, 126 defensive rating is crazy. That's wild, bro. Like, that's crazy for somebody who's known as a defender. That's crazy, right? That's crazy. That's wild. That's like Matt Eberflus being a defensive minded head coach and not knowing how to call a deep. Never mind. That's a rant for another show. Vaughn says, I know a retooling probably calls for moving one of the big 3, but I think it should be 2 of the big 3, aka DeMar and Vooch. Just need to go with 3 and D wing and a defensive lob threat center. No, again, Vooch is solid. If we didn't have it's I get what you're saying, and I'm not saying that you're wrong that could help. But I think if you don't have DeMar on this team, which then frees up Vooch to score more naturally from some of the spots that he likes to score from, I think it'd be completely different. Now, I do think that you need at that point to make sure you get a 3 and D wing that is very versatile in how they can guard the rim. But I'm not like Vooch he's a top 10 center in the league. I'm not for giving away top 10 players at their position. I'm just not. Haize, are you starting to think that the Bulls won't get 40 wins this year? It's still too early to tell. It's way too early before I'm willing to come down off that, but we'll see. I'd be cool with Vooch staying too. Oh, we'll see. I get what you're saying on that one. Um, I'm starting to feel like P. Will is low on confidence because he didn't get his rookie extension. He screams the kind of player who, listen, he's been that way since he came in the league. I love it, and I'm not saying that maybe you're wrong. Maybe that did affect his confidence, but we've seen this from P. Will when he was fresh in the league. We saw this with P. Will when he had 2 years left on his contract. We saw this with P. Will when he had 1 year left on his contract. At some point, you got to stop making excuses for somebody not being confident. I can see you, Haize, calling Bulls games in the future. I will never do that. And that's one thing. I remember when we first started these pregame shows, I was like, I want you guys to tell me, do you want a pregame, a halftime, or a postgame show? And I said it, you're not getting all three. I started the show, I said, you're not getting daily content from me. There's no way I'm doing this show daily. Now I do both of those. But one thing I could promise you, you will not see from me is live calling. It's not my skill set. I'm way too passionate. I don't know how to stay still during games. And there will be so much time where it's literally just me looking at the TV, frowning, and throwing shit. And I don't want that out there on the interweb. So I can promise you live calling. I'll probably pop in on maybe Pat's live call, or maybe I'll hop in on the Cognac Boys live call. But me live calling, it ain't happening, bro. I don't have that skill set. I already read that one. Let's Talk Bulls says Stacey and me talk is a legitimate Bulls flex. That's hilarious. I mean, listen, I've been blessed, bro. Like, all I can say is that hard work pays off. That's what I tell everybody who gets in this game, who wants to get in it. Work hard. Work hard. Let's see. We got Reynaldo says, hello, man. Just discovered your channel this year. Thanks for all the hard work. I appreciate you, bro. Definitely appreciate you for sticking with me through all my craziness and everything like that as well. Because it's listen, I know I'm not for everybody. And I know I probably would be at 20,000 subscribers already if I didn't go the hell off on people. But it is what it is. One thing about me, and I always say this in the comments when people are like, hey, why do you curse? Hey, you shouldn't go off on players like that. Hey, you shouldn't. Somebody said the other day, there was like, as a black man, you shouldn't be on here cursing. I said, as a black man, thank you for your opinion, but I don't give a fuck. Like, so it's like, that's me, and I gotta be me. If I wasn't able to be me in doing this, I wouldn't do it. So I know that comes with losing some people that probably would subscribe if I was more, oh yeah, and the Chicago Bulls are going to, but that's just not me. I don't know how to do that. That's not how I know how to cover this team. That's not why I got in to do this. So I appreciate the people that stick it and rock it out with me. And you're either gonna rock it out or you're not. The Bulls' biggest problem is that they not consistent with who the number one option is. Jordan was the number one option every game, win or lose. Well, the number one option doesn't always mean you're going to always get all the shots, right? So you can be a number one option and still, because option means that that they trust you so much to make the right decisions, and sometimes that decision is going to be on nights other players are going to get more shots than you. Now, here's what I'll say as well: the Bulls have a de facto number one A and B, but they don't have like that number one player that would be a number one on a championship level team either, which I think plays a part into that Montez as well. But I definitely get where you're coming from, brother. It feels as though P. Will doesn't know what he is and trying to be something he's not. I don't think he's right mentally. Hope he can be better and let the game come to him. I don't disagree with what you're saying there at all, brother. Like, I think P. Will, his lack of confidence also comes from the fact that he doesn't get a lot of developmental reps, right? We see a lot of players drafted where P. Will was drafted at, and they get that time to develop, meaning that they go from getting 4 shots to getting 8 shots to getting 12 shots to getting 16 shots, right? And the coach trusts them. Billy Donovan hasn't done it. Now, we can say P. Will also hasn't earned that. So those things play into it as well, I think, also. So we'll see how that develops, man. Med3 says, what are you looking to get out of today's game? To see out of today's game, better execution. Win or lose, I just want to see this team execute better. And if they execute better, that would start bringing some signs of some positivity to this team. That's the main thing that I want to see from this team is better execution. God damn it. That's what I would love to see. Archangel says Billy Donovan has said multiple times that this team lacks stamina for 4 quarters. Do you think he literally means physical stamina? I think probably more so he means physical. I mean, not physical, mental, right? Because this team gets down on themselves. We've seen it, right? And so it's a marathon to be in the season, but you have to have a different type mentality as well to come back from being down. You have to have a different type of mentality to get the lead and hold on to the lead, because that team then is going to try to come out with the knockout punch. That's what I take it. He could mean physical stamina. I don't really see that from this team, that they lack physical stamina, but I could be wrong on that one, right? He could mean that. I'm just saying what my interpretation of it is, and that's my interpretation. So we'll see. We'll see if that ends up being true, right? Like, I think that this team definitely can't be one of those teams that runs up and down the court all game, every single game. So we'll see with that one, but I do think that this team, more so it's the mental stamina to keep up their performance, to put their foot on the team's neck and to keep it there. We haven't seen that. No changes to the starting lineup today. Kobe White, Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, P. Will, and Nikola Vucevic are your starters for today. I don't know what Zachary's talking about. That is wrong. That is not the starting lineup. So, but yeah. Let's see. Tracy Edits says the Bulls can't win, but it's not likely. Like I said, be honest. If they had a good defensive game with how the Indians have been playing, they could still score 110. So Indians, who's the Indians? What are you talking about? So offense is important as well. Offense and defense are absolutely important, right? And the fact that we are shooting 40% as a team so far this season, it's bad, man. I'm not feeling all too confident about this game since the Pacers are going to be tough. And if the Bulls continue to play the way they have been, man, I don't know. I agree with you, bro. Definitely agree with you on that one. Haize, I remember when we said we would live call a game a few years back. I'm back live calling games again. You and I both know you'll be joining us one day. Oh, for sure. If you're live calling games, I'll definitely put in there. Julian K in the building says, I have a feeling Pat will play better today. The look he had on his face on that bench was the first time I've seen him actually frustrated during the game. And people, keep in mind, too, Patrick Williams went off on Zach LaVine for missing a defensive assignment last game. Like, so maybe it's starting to come along. Breaking news, Dwight Howard went down hard. They're calling it a 2-knee injury. Wow. No, man, I meant like paid by Comcast NBC like a Stacey King. Oh, I mean, if it's in God's cards, it's in God's cards. I'll say this, right? If I know for a fact, and I'm not gonna say how I know, and no, it's not Pat the designer who told me, so it's not Pat. If I lived in Chicago, I would have been working for ESPN already. Like literally, if I lived in Chicago, I'd be working for ESPN 1000 already. But I'm not. So, it is what it is there, man. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't just give Vooch away, just saying how bad this team needs a switch up. Depending on the offer, maybe, but not for nothing. But yeah, DeMar gotta go. Too much standing around for him. Listen, I think the way that this team wants to play doesn't fit DeMar in the way that he plays. DeMar doesn't do good off tempo. He does not historically done good off the ball. And so if you're moving to this place where you do want to do more moving the ball around, right? Getting more people involved, but the ball not sticking around as much, that really doesn't play into DeMar DeRozan's strengths. And that's been typically a weakness for him over the course of his NBA career. So, we'll see. But hey, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, AK and Eversley got some work to do. Yeah. JW says, you got the live call skill set, keep working. Well, it's not this. Could I call a live game? Yes. But the thing for me is that I am too emotionally invested in the Chicago Bulls. So when the game's going on, you will see me flip something if I was to do a live call. And I mean, listen, for those that know, I don't do the live calls on Chicago Bears Central. C-Dub handles that. I was on 2 live calls this year with C-Dub. I flipped my chair over in once, and I threw it 6 feet across the room the other. Because I'm not just here to cover the teams. I'm literally emotionally invested in the Bulls and the Bears. It affects my emotions when these teams suck. It just does. I haven't been able to separate that. Even in being a content creator now, working for Bleacher Report, things like that, I have not been able to separate my emotional attachment with these teams. And so because of that, I don't think I can do a live call, because the moment that the Bulls lose a 10-0 run after being up by 12, something's getting thrown. And I don't know if I really want that out there, bro. I have been scouting players from the womb to the tomb, and the issue is twofold. DeMar, like you said, would free up space for Vooch. Secondly, Billy caters to him and is only tough with Zach, Io, and Pat. Listen, that is spot on. That may be the comment of this, bro. Like that is 100% spot on. I respect your realness. Your real fan attitude is refreshing. Thank you. That's really what, when I started this, like, it was nothing but based off my love of the Bulls, right? I didn't get into this because I wanted to make clickbait. I didn't get into this because I thought that this channel would pop off and all of a sudden become renowned or anything like that. I did this because I love the Bulls and I wanted to create a community where Bulls fans can come and talk shit. That's what I wanted to do. I think we've done a pretty damn good job at the goal of that. And I'm happy with it, right? And that's not to say I don't want to still continue to grow, but like, I don't ever want me to change because now this channel has gotten to whatever point, right? I wanted to get to the point of being huge because of my realness. I don't want to change because of it, and I never will. So it is what it is, man. As my pops always used to say, the harder I work, the luckier I get. True for you, could be true for the Bulls too. Maybe they should try it. Definitely feel you on that one. I love that you're so consistent in dropping. I watch your show all day and respect and trust most of your decisions. Keep it up, Haize. Thank you, Michael Joe. I appreciate that, fam. Let's see. Austin's in the building. Says, I'm feeling optimistic. This is our get it together game. Hey, from your mouth to God's ears. Goon says, nephew, do you fuck him, talk your shit. I appreciate that, honestly. You talk your shit, nephew. You already know. I'm going to be me. That's it. How many packs of gum is Billy going to go through tonight? Over under 4. That's light work. Billy Donovan got to go through at least 12 packs of gum a game. Never sell out what other people want. Always be yourself. You know that's how I run my shit, and that's how you need to run your shit. Always do you. 100%. That's it. People who rock with me are going to rock with me. People who not, they not going to. Let's see what else we got. We got Tony says, people like to make stuff up here. Like dude who said DT was traded for 2 second-round picks. That's crazy. I don't even remember that, but that sounds like something that's definitely going to happen. Sorry if I'm not being optimistic, but I refuse to continue to watch this team now. Billy doesn't change starting lineups, players with no heart. Why should we care to watch them if owners don't care? Well, I mean, listen, that's why your fandom is your fandom. And I'm not here to judge your fandom at all, right? But for me, I watch the team because I'm a fan and I'm a diehard Chicago Bulls fan. That means I'm going to watch the team regardless. Win, lose, or draw, I'm a Bulls fan. That's never going to change for me. I will never stop being a Chicago Bulls fan, no matter what in the hardship that we go through. That's it. This is the life I chose, unfortunately, and I'm going to rock it out. I don't believe in being a fair weather fan for me personally. I've never been one of those people who can switch teams. Once I'm engaged, I'm engaged. And I've been a Bulls fan my whole 36 years on this planet, and I hope to be a Bulls fan for 30, 40 more years if God sees fit to leave me on this planet that long. So let's see. And my basketball knowledge, DeMar is the first option on the championship team. 7 games in a row, 35 points, 50%, that type of explosiveness and consistency. And marksmanship is a sign of a first op champion. No, because again, that's numbers. You can put up numbers all day long. Being a champion and a first option on the championship team also has to come down to how do you step up defensively. DeMar DeRozan is one of the worst defensive players in the history of basketball. That doesn't take away the fact that he's top 30 in scoring. He's going to pass up a lot of players, and he has an amazing knack for that. But to be a number one option, you not only have to score, right, and step up in key moments for your team. DeMar DeRozan, while clutch in the regular season, has some of the worst clutch statistics in playoff basketball. And again, this is not a knock on DeMar. I love DeMar. This is me just talking about the objective facts, right? And on top of that, defensively, we know DeMar DeRozan, even when he locks in defensively, he's getting cooked, right? So to me, you can't be a number one option on a championship level team, and you have such big holes to your game. You can't be. Not to me. Right? You can be a damn good player. You can maybe be a 1B, right? You can be a player that absolutely is the reason maybe why your team wins playoff games and playoff matchups. But on a number one, on a true championship team, you have to be able to elevate your team more than what DeMar has ever elevated his team. Again, he's a damn good player. Amazing. The fact that everybody in the league knows exactly where DeMar's trying to go, exactly what he's going to do, the fact that he's going to pump fake it 5 times up and under you and still make the shot, that's an amazing elite skill set that you can never take away from DeMar. But he's not a number one option on a championship team, in my opinion. If he was, we wouldn't have saw him get to the point where no team wanted to sign him in the offseason. That's just my opinion, Montez. This is my opinion. Again, I'm not trying to say that you're wrong for your opinion. I understand where you're coming from. I just don't agree, right? So that's all I'm trying to get into with that. I need someone to send me the video of people yelling at Zach and Vooch yelling at Billy. I can't find it. Let's see. I'll see if I can find it. Would you trade DeMar for Paul George? Listen, if you can guarantee me that Paul George is going to play at least 70 games for us, I do it. But the fact of the matter is, with Paul George, you'd be lucky to get 55 games from him. Let's go and take a look at Paul George and how many games he's played over his recent history. That's the biggest thing with Paul George. We know what he can be when he's on the court, right? I don't think anybody knocks Paul George for what he can be when he's on the court. The question is just how much. So over the last, we're going back to 2019-20, 48 games. 2020-21, 54 games. 2021-22, 31 games. 2022-23, 56 games. He's played all 3 so far this season. That's the biggest issue with Paul George. Is how is he going to stay on the court? One thing about DeMar, DeMar is going to be out there, and it's going to take a lot to keep him off the court. CEO Haize to the Shy. Listen, I'm not opposed to moving back home. But that's a decision me and my family are going to have to make. Dwight Howard had something to do with AD's gluteus max. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. It's wrong that I don't want to give up on P. Will completely. I give up on him being a starter. That is until he shows he wants it. But I do feel in time he'll be a good role player off the bench. No, I don't think that's wrong because listen, he's 22, 23 years old. Like we've seen players progress way further into the hell. There are going to be players that come into the league next draft that are still young or older than P. Will. So it's not wrong to not want to write him off completely. But like I said before, every year that goes by that he doesn't make that step, that potential drops. And I'm glad that you ended it by saying a good role player off the bench. That may end up being what P. Will is a 3-and-D role player. Maybe that can start depending on your lineups and stuff like that. Maybe comes off the bench, plays a lot of minutes for you. It may be that. Let's see. Let's hope for more, right? I definitely hope for more, but let's see. People talking about moving DeMar, like someone saying trade Jordan. No, it's what you're comparing DeMar DeRozan to Michael Jordan. Montez. Now I got you on your last comment, but you're comparing Michael Jordan to DeMar DeRozan. And the difference is as well, when people said Jordan was shooting too much, that's when he was his first 3 to 4 years in the league. We're talking about DeMar being 12 years in now? Bro, come on, fam. You can't believe that DeMar and Michael Jordan are in the same conversation. You can't believe that, bro. You can't believe that, man. You can't believe that, bro. That's wild. I'm not gonna lie, Haize. I ain't feeling too confident in this game. The Pacers are 5 steps and levels ahead of us, and I really do believe that we should start shopping or looking into trading someone. Listen, a lot of Bulls fans are right there with you, brother. And I'm not saying that it's wrong. We'll see how it ends up going, but hey, we'll see, man. Spicy Butter says, little bro, we damn near the same. I'll be throwing shit around. I'm super invested in the Bulls and Bears. That's why you, my little bro, we on the same page. Hey, it's been that way my whole life. Like, again, I tell this story. This was when I was 20 years old. I'm 36 now. It was 16 years ago. So please do not judge me by my past. But my first apartment ever, 2-bedroom apartment. It was, I think, 600 square feet. Not huge at all. I paid $525 for rent. That was it. Now, with that said, I was 20 years old. And the Chicago Bulls, if I'm not mistaken, I don't want to quote it exactly. The Chicago Bulls were playing, I believe, the Detroit Pistons. This is before Derrick Rose came. This is when it was the Kirk Heinrich, Ben Gordon, Andre Snowshione, Luol Deng team. We were up by 5 points in the fourth quarter. We ended up losing the game by 8 points. literally, when the Detroit Pistons were going on that run, I punched 2 holes in the wall real quick. It was a quick jab. And I'll remember, I'll never forget, I literally looked at the wall afterwards and I said, fuck that wall, the Bulls lost. So, listen, that's how emotionally invested. Now, I'm a lot better now. I'm 36 years old. I ain't punching walls no more. But that's how invested I've been my whole life in this team, man. My whole entire life, I've been that invested in this team. DeMar did what multiple stars of today did when being the only star on the team. That's the conference finals. DeMar, D Rose, PG, Trey, Luka, to name a few. That's a great, insightful point, Tony. Great insightful. And you're spot on with that. Definitely spot on with that. Stacey said it best, man. People looks lost out there. And that's not what you expect. That's not what you expect from a team that's been together. The core's been together for 3 years, man. Zach in his head probably told people, talk to me when you can score 12 points 2 games in a row. That is hilarious. That's funny. That's funny. That's hilarious. Man, Luau Deng missed that guy. I love when he hit those nights. Could you imagine? Seriously, prime Luau Deng before the injury, prime Luau Deng, meaning like the 3 years around when Derrick Rose came, probably about a year before, and the 3 years after D Rose came. I may be a little bit off on that, but prime Luau Deng on this team, because he definitely would be playing the 4, right? Defensively, he's a lockdown. He can definitely hit the corner 3. Luau Deng would literally transform this Bulls team into being a team fighting for the play-in to a team that's probably 4th or 5th seed. That prime Luau Deng would, and that's always what I said, right? If people have been watching me for a while, I always said, listen, I'm not worried about Patrick Williams turning into the next Kawhi Leonard. If he can turn into the next Luau Deng in his prime, I'd be happy with that. Doesn't seem like we're going to get it, but, it is what it is. Let's see what we got here. From Steeman's Killer TV. I know I mispronounced that, but thank you for the support. Says, what do you think Io's future in the NBA would look like? Listen, I look at Io as saying that Io can be Marcus Smart. And that means that could he develop back into a starter for some teams? Absolutely. But I think that that's the ceiling right now for Io to assume was to be, and I don't necessarily mean average the same amount of points that Marcus Smart has, but I mean having that type of impact for a team, being a player that can both defend and guard. Remember, Marcus Smart came into the league, he couldn't shoot a lick, right? He couldn't shoot to save his life. And he's turned in now to a decent enough shooter. So I think that that's kind of what I look like at Io that he could be. Now, again, that's the top level of potential. He may not hit that. But I look at Io can definitely be one of your lead guards coming off the bench at the very minimum. Chicago going to take an L tonight. Hate to be the messenger of bad news. Yo, Haize, need you to go get the GM job for the Bulls. We need some brains in the office. Heartbroken by Shy Star. That's funny. That's funny. Bro, Luau Deng used to give Bron that bit. Keep in mind, so it was Luau that used to give Bron business, and then we end up getting Jimmy, who then used to give Bron and Carmelo some work, bro. Oh, and this is a deep cut. Most people aren't going to know this because he didn't stay around long enough. Do you remember when Thabo Sefolosha turned into the James Johnson stopper? Most Bulls fans aren't going to remember that. But Thabo Sefolosha, who I think was a second-round pick for us, I remember the game. Scott Skiles, before the game, he was like, I'm not going to start Seth. I forgot. I think Ben Gordon was out. He's like, I didn't start Sefolosha just because I don't know what he's going to do against Jimmy Johnson. And then Thabo Sefolosha checked into that game and shut Johnson down. And for the remainder of the time, every time you saw Thabo Sefolosha, he was giving Johnson the business when he was in Atlanta. The work. That was great to see. I don't even know what got me started on that rant. Deep cut. Bro, I'm not all one for giving up on players early, but that shot of Pat walking out unfazed after the Caruso 3-point game winner made me give up on him caring about basketball. Well, keep on. Everybody isn't in, like, I probably would have did that. Everybody isn't externally embracive, right? And I think Pat probably walked off like, damn, I'm glad we hit that. It shouldn't have got to this. Like, that's me internal. Like, it doesn't always have to be negative. I think we sometimes look for players because it's the easiest thing to, like, be all yah and rah-rah. Sometimes that's just not in people's personalities, right? But P-Will may have also been down on his own personal game because he played like absolute booty cheeks in that game. So, It is what it is. It reminds me like when like Zach LaVine wasn't cheering off that one DeMar game winner, and everybody was like, "Oh, is there beef? Does Zach not like DeMar?" Like, so it's not always what it looks like in the snapshot. So, how do you feel about the floor for the in-season tournament? I love it. I love it. I have nothing bad to say about that floor at all. I know some Steve-O, for example, doesn't really like it. He says it's too much red. I don't give a shit about that. That floor is fine. That should be the court next season. They need to find a way to make that the permanent court, because to me, that shit is fire. I'm gonna put it up on the screen real quick before we end the stream. That I love that. You can say what you want to say about it. I love that court, bro. I love it. I love it. I love things that you can kind of identify. That's beautiful to me. I love that. I love it. I love it. Dennis in the building. Pair character bowing down, saying thank you. Well, thank you, Dennis. Dennis, I appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. First of all, I'm a professional Rondo 2 Raw. I don't use USB mics. I use an XLR mic going into my mixer that goes into the computer. This is the RE20 Black Edition. So this is a classic mic. You'll find this in most radio stations. The SM7B is not in a lot of radio stations because this is the standard when it comes to radio and broadcast professionalism. And so this is the mic that I have. I also have a what is the name of that mic? Is it Lewitt Audio? I have another mic that's excellent. It's a basically a mix between a dynamic and a what's the other type of mic? But it's great, but I got to get it repaired. That was the one I'm going to go back to using at some point. Let's see what else we got. They have no choice but to wear black uniforms or white uniforms on that court, right? The white uniforms on that red court would look amazing. I think that'll look amazing. Condenser, yes, there it goes. I don't know why I was like, I literally no mics for what is the name of that mic? Lawton. It's a Lawton Audio LS20, I believe. Amazing mic. It literally sounds like heaven. If you are an audiophile like me, it sounds like heaven. The only issue that I had with it is that I believe that my lovely and beautiful son, my 9-year-old, is 10 now. He just turned 10 a couple weeks ago. My 10-year-old son came down here, and I think he knocked the mic down, and that's why there's like a little hiss in it. But I'm going to get it repaired. That's my favorite mic by far. Love that classic Chicago Bulls shirt, Haize. It's on point. Thank you. Listen, one thing that I like to do, especially because I have so much Chicago Bulls merch, is break it up and not everything be red and black, right? Like you guys saw, I've wore the yellow sweater, the one that kind of looks like it's like Fresh Prince inspired. But I've tried to mix it up. I had on the cream and pink shirt the last game, right? So try to mix it up because it can all start looking the exact same. And also it helps me stand out from this background, this black and red as well. So that's why I like to mix it up a little bit. So is everyone involved in the in-season? Yes, every team is involved. Matter of fact, our first in-season tournament game is this week against the the Nets, I believe. I think it's on the 2nd. I think that's our game on the 2nd. Let me double check that. I don't like giving false information out. Let me double check that. So our first in-season tournament game is on the 3rd. The 3rd. It's next Friday. So that's when you'll get to see that court. It's next Friday. On gear stuff, what camera do you use? So on my daily episodes, which I record on the other set of the studio, because you guys know I actually have 3 sets in the studio, but the gray background set, I use a Lumix S5 on that side. This is the Blackmagic Pocket 12K. No, not Pocket. The Blackmagic Ursa 12K is what this is. That's why it looks so crisp. because it's a 12K camera that I then downscale to 1080p to stream. But then if I pre-record on the side, I downscale it to 4K. But that's why if you guys see my video, like literally you can zoom into my videos and see my individual beard hairs because I record in 12K. So there you go on that one. It is Friday. There you go. It is Friday. I thought it was that. Listen, everything's mixing together for me. Everything's mixing together. But all right, y'all. We're about 5 minutes away from game time. I'm gonna go ahead and end the stream. I'll be back at halftime. So thank you guys so much for tuning in and staying tuned in. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Also, if you're not subscribed to the channel, I post so much. So a lot of people think they're subscribed because I stay in their algorithm. But make sure you guys are subscribed as we're trying to get to 20K so we can bring BreakKR Sport over to Chicago, man, and have a great game weekend next weekend. I know we're not going to hit 20K. If we do, it probably won't be to the end of the season or maybe the off season, but that's the goal. So hit that subscribe button. But I'll see you guys back at halftime for the halftime hangout. So make sure you guys stay tuned in. Love you guys. Go Bulls. All that good stuff. Peace, y'all.